Welcome to the Inspired Focus podcast. This is your host, Jamie O'Connor. And I love our guest today, Raven Royce. She is a master in not only using her own voice, but teaching you how to use yours to truly make the impact that you're meant to make on this planet, this earth, this life. She is a ceremonialist and a creatrix to a degree that I have never met before, and I've been so blessed to have her be a guide in spaces where I needed and wanted a feeling of safety, and she provided that. Our conversation today goes into so many different areas and really brings about a sense of what is possible when you really tap into singing and your voice and areas that are really not talked about very much. There is so much magic, truly, in this episode. I'm going to give you a warning that unfortunately when we recorded, the mic I was using didn't connect properly. So my sound is a little bit off, but Raven's is absolutely perfect. And that's really what matters. I want to remind you that if you are interested in joining me for some of our breath work, our monthly inspired breath work sessions, you can do that. And I would love to have you. You can join at breathwork.inspiredfocus.co. And we still have spots available for the Flourish Retreat in May 21st through 26th. That is going to be in Todos Santos, Baja California Sur, Mexico. And it's going to be truly amazing for anyone who is interested in developing their self-authored leadership and defining success on your term. Women who are truly stepping into their next greatest self. You can check out more information for that at flourishbaja.com. I'd love to have you if you're called to it. And now your episode with Raven Royce. Please, truly enjoy her as much as I do. I am so grateful for her in my life, and I'm so grateful to introduce you to her.
Hello and welcome to the Inspired Focus podcast. I am so over the moon about my guest today because her soul is so incredible and so beautiful. And her presence in my life has changed my life so rapidly that I cannot wait for people to hear her message, listen to her unbelievable voice, and really be as inspired as I have. So I want you guys all to meet Raven Royce. She is a creatrix, a ceremonialist. She is a multi-talented entrepreneur and creator. And she is unbelievable at helping people find vision and voice in a way that I have never seen anyone else. I've had the firsthand pleasure, ability, gift of having Raven be a shepherd and a guide for me in moments that changed my life. And I hope this conversation brings something magical to your life. So, Raven, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I feel so alive from that glowing introduction, and I feel so seen by you. Thank you for welcoming me into your show.
Yes, truly, when I was putting my launch plan together and I was like, okay, who do I want to have show up for me and be with me on this show? You were top 5, absolutely, without a doubt. So I'm so grateful to have you here. Yay. I think you're in my first 10 guests, which is just, I feel very honored to have you because you and your talents and your voice are so incredible. And you're just getting started. Truly, the change that you're going to bring to the world, I am so sure is going to be so massive. And I feel so excited and honored to be in the early parts of your life. So, and that, I feel as though we'll grow together in that. So this is just a start.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. It's so epic. It's so epic.
Yeah. So, we have had the opportunity only a few times, but like to sit together in various environments. I think it was only a few months ago, I actually did a masterclass sitting with you that was really tapping into voice. And this is such a huge part of the way that you bring people into who they deeply are and who you are. And I'd love to talk about a little bit more about like what you do with that, what voice means to you, what it means to the people that you work with. Like I've learned so much about voice from you. And I think I've learned to start to love my own voice because of the things I've learned from you.
Ooh, that's such a rich reflection. I so appreciate hearing that. It makes me really happy to feel the way that my passion for voice has impacted you and is translating into this question, which is one of my favorite questions to answer. What voice is and what it means to me and why I care enough to express and to support other people in accessing the experience of being connected to their voice. It's because I believe my experience is that we are vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe. That vibration is sound first, sound even before form, sound creating form. There are so many different lineages of all different kinds of sciences and mysticisms that have studied this origin of everything we see, even to the Catholic tradition that I was raised in. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So the Word was first. And I feel that when I close my eyes and I connect to that deepest part of me, that truest part of me, once I touch that still center place, the next natural step for me to express that is it's to vibrate. It's to make a sound. It's to open my mouth. It's to sing. I believe that we're all singers. I believe that singing is what the spirit does. And like my first voice teacher, catalyst, Dr. Tony Araujo taught me when I was 13 years old, the voice is the spirit alive. And I've always lived in a magical reality since I was born. Everything is magical to me. So the voice quickly revealed itself to me as being the most magical built-in instrument and tool of creation that we have as human beings. And every single inner conflict that I can experience, I can trace back to a vibration in me, to a story, to a rhythm, to a song, to a melody that I've been playing somewhere deep in my being, or that I've been allowing to come through me. And the more consciousness that I bring to all of the voices inside of me, the more present I am with the full spectrum of life that's outside of me. And so I feel like the voice is a really powerful mirror for our ability to be with the entire human experience, the magical sides of it and the material sides of it. And
the heartbreaking sides of it.
Definitely. Yeah.
I feel like if I really think about it, which honestly, I don't think I'd thought that much about voice and singing and the vibrations that come out until I met you. If I really think about it, I can see how my singing alone in the car or in the shower, which was the only places I ever felt comfortable doing that before, and still walking into,
always there, yeah.
Those were the few times I actually felt my soul feeling. Like that, those moments allowed me to like open up to deeply cry or feel like so happy. I actually have this memory of, I used to have to drive an hour and a half to see my boyfriend, who's now my husband, years ago, 8-9 years ago. And my best friend was engaged. And on these drives, I would like be writing my maid of honor speech in my head. And it was music that would like bring these moments of inspiration. And I would get like so welled up with like happiness and emotion. And like the speech would come through at the same time because I was like allowing myself to feel all of the feelings of my relationship with her, which at that time in my life, being connected to my feelings was a very far cry. So the music and singing and voice was like the portal to actually do that.
Yeah, truly. There's such a magical through line there that I can feel tracing back all the way to like when I was starting my first diary at age, 5 or 6. And that connection that I had to my voice on the page was the same outlet that allowed me to process. And once I started to feel like you were just describing the power of music, the power of singing, the power of emotion through art, and like using art as that access point and music as that access point, like, well,
yeah,
therein lies an entire life path of exploration of the power of that,
totally.
the power of art and music. And it touches all of us in some way, whether consciously or unconsciously. I really believe that.
Yeah, truly. I think that sometimes I wonder actually when people are like really haven't tapped into music, haven't tapped into that form of art or that form of a voice, even alone, if it's its own like subconscious, purposeful door closing to some deeper feelings.
I mean, if you look at what are all of the things that being moved by music brings up in you, right? Like the joy, the passion, the electric aliveness, the orgasm, the fear, the rage, like it literally just taps on the little rock. And all of a sudden, poof, like this water comes blasting out. And a lot of us spend our lives building dams. We build dams internally, and singing like the right music, just allowing yourself to open to that. It's a very powerful and very, very vulnerable thing, because then you're reconnecting with your spirit and with the flow of your human nature. And music is very natural, right? Like music is nature, nature is music. Like there is a symphony happening all through us at all times. It's like,
and so deeply historical, I mean, I met you in ceremony and was so fortunate to be sitting next to your beautiful voice as you like sang Icarus, like shepherding us through this like deep, dark, light, beautiful experience, and like having your voice vibrate around me, like led so much of that path. And that is such a deeply ancient tradition that we can see in lineages across indigenous cultures around the world. Like there is no one that does not have it.
Yep. And that's a really interesting invitation, I feel, to share that how I arrived to guide others through challenging, transformative experiences with my voice has been a lifetime's plural process. And I know that because when I came into this life and I was a young girl coming alive in church and meeting God for the first time through these like hymns and the sounds of like choirs and the cathedral, like that, for some people, like that's a beautiful experience, but it's like, all right, then they go home and they have lunch and they carry on with their day. But for me, like, I was like, that is my home. Like, I am a singer. Like, I am here to deliver the divine truth through the sound chamber that is my body. And I just knew that. And I wanted that so bad, but it wasn't just limited to church for me. It was also like lip syncing to Britney Spears and like feeling her power and like her passion and her energy, and then exploring the world of music and all the music my parents raised me on, Michael Jackson, Phil Collins, Sting, Yanni, Celine Dion, like all these epic voices that I got to really feel as a very young child, because my home was always full of music. It like that, like playing music, it was just so, I was just so sure that that was my path. But how it has unfolded for me to step into that confidence and really anchor that is understanding that it's not just me. Like anyone can actually do this. And it takes a deep level of commitment and devotion to like crack those dams open and to live with your waters flowing freely and to be in such a great balance inside of yourself that you can actually hold that immense love, that immense power. And a lot of my journey has been about going beyond binaries and dogmas and specific, rigid ideas of how that water needs to flow, and just being like, hey, I'm open and everything is flowing through me. And with that, there is still focus, there is still direction, there's still clarity. It doesn't have to be boxed in to be aligned and to be pure. You know?
I love that. And I mean, in your pathway and what is so incredible of what you're teaching is through voice, and that anyone has that, but that message is really across all of our abilities to be
100%.
deeply intuitive, deeply guided, deeply connected to the God inside of us, and not be so needing of all of the outside sources to do that, because we actually have it all inside. And exactly, I feel deeply connected to that same message. It's such a huge part of what I am opening up to in whatever purpose I have too, in its own way, because I feel so strongly in that piece of it. And we have these pathways and these opportunities, and every single person does, that has their way of like finding that deep, deep knowing that is so magical. It's so incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what's in your heart? Like, what's in your heart? And I happen to be a voice that desires to bring voice. But like you're saying, like, that's not everybody's particular specific like expression of their purpose. And it's not the only way that I express my purpose either, but it is at the core of who I am. And my desire in any space where I'm facilitating or sharing my voice is for people to feel the same level of connectedness to the source of what we are. And that comes from living a life where I'm in the practice of connecting with that, which is about everything in my life, not just singing or not singing. And it's a magical life. It's a magical life to live in your intuition, to live in that connection, to have that spark of the divine inside you, like so clearly anchored that you're actually free from the fear that dominates most people who are looking for that validation or salvation outside of themselves. And it's like, I too have those patterns and that panic and that paranoia about existence. And I also have clarity, and I also have faith, and I also have deep trust, and I also have love. And I get to choose which vibe I'm putting out and which vibe I'm focusing on.
Yeah. Well, and the idea of the water flowing is such a powerful one to me. Yeah. And I really like to visualize and imagine that it's a river, right? We have powerful, like super powerful water flowing through, and the structure that is around it is like the river bank. And sometimes the flow is so strong that it's cutting into the riverbanks and it's really like taking over. And then other times it starts to trickle down and it's calm, and the riverbanks are the thing guiding it to where it needs to go. And for me, that visualization really helps to be able to like flow between the moments where the creativity and the ideas and the things are just like, oh my God, I have to just go and do it and get it done and be in it. And the times where I'm like, I just need to float on this lazy river for a little bit. Like, I just need to be here and let the time go to where it's going to go, and know that like I've built the structure around me to guide me to where I need to go. And that's, or I've put myself in the environments or the containers, or I've sought the places, or I need to seek the places that can hold me in that safety, that can hold me in that surrender of where the lighter flow is going, because it's gonna go. And that's that connection, that's that deeper knowing, that's that place.
That's that surrender.
Yeah.
That's that surrender.
Yeah.
And singing requires that depth of surrender. And like, I've been in the process over the last 6 months of recording the songs for my first album, which is my most dearest creation so far. And
can't wait.
Oh my God.
I can't wait.
Oh my God. And you know, what's so powerful, Jamie, is that when I scan back through the different rhythms of my river, like over these last 10 years, from when I first like had the download, like I want to write an album, to 6 months ago when I actually did it, you know, that 10-year time span, and every single lesson that I've had, the feelings, like the amount of sheer feelings I've had to feel and like really live through in order to get to the place where I actually have the craving inside me to express something on a really deep level that I never felt before. And another way of saying that is just like, I had to live life. Like I had to really let life live through me in order to come with the honesty and the vulnerability and the surrender to let myself be used as an instrument to actually bring through the music that is meant to not only be great for me, but great for the world. And that's a bigger question of dharma and of like knowing that we have a purpose and that there's timing to that. And that there is a process of divine alignment and unfolding, and we have to be ready to ride that wave, no matter how big or how small it is, or how slow we think it's going. Get there. It's always right on time.
Always right on time. I mean, the journey that you're experiencing and the 10-year process that it is, there's such a powerful lesson in that. It's a lesson that I've had to learn over and over, and just like most of these lessons, like I'm learning a deeper version of it every year and every 5 years and every decade and whatever timing actually happens. And I experienced it with my first retreat that I just held in September. Like I got that call honestly years ago, 7, 8 years ago. And the version of it, the look of it, the feel of it evolved in my mind and my spirit over all of that time. And then it was about 2 or 3 years ago where I was like, I'm doing it. And I think I put down deposits twice and canceled. And then this last one, the alignment was just, it was like locked in. It was like the key finally opened the door. And I was in a place of such clarity and so sure. And I realized during the 5 days that I needed every single lesson I had along the way. And I particularly needed like the year between the times that I had lost the one deposit to this retreat. So it was about a year. The lessons and the experiences and the guidance and like the ego shedding so that I could step in to be so of service in those 5 days was the timing was exactly right. It was everything that was supposed to happen for me to be transformed, for the people I was serving to be transformed, for all of the things to happen. And if we have such a tendency as humans to get in such a shame cycle when we get the call and then it doesn't work exactly the way that we had thought it was supposed to work, or in the timing that we had placed on it. And then we like put it into a box in the corner in the closet and we're like, well, I was wrong. And my intuition was wrong. And all of these things. And it's like, no, like, it's there. Keep listening. like the timing, the key's gonna unlock. You're right there.
You're
You
right
just gotta
there.
continue knowing. And every time you feel the like, no, I need to left turn right now and I don't know why, like, it's okay. It's part of the plan. It's part of the process.
There it is. Yeah, there's that surrender to the magical timeline. And I'm like, you can either be in magic or you can be in logic at a certain level. But once you actually click in to either, you realize that they're both inherent. There is logic in magic and there's magic in logic. There's just a predominant way of thinking and of seeing that we can choose and of feeling. And for me, magic predominantly feels better. And by magic, I mean knowing that I am part of something bigger than me that is being perfectly orchestrated by the divine power. And all I have to do is show up, take care of myself so I can play my part.
Yeah.
And getting out of my own way. And that's literally the daily challenge. You know, that's the commitment of our daily, right? Get out of the way. Yeah. Just get out of the way. And it's very easy.
Yeah.
And listen. Yeah, exactly.
That is the message I've heard from you a lot, actually, in the words that you say, and the moment of guiding that I have been a part of is that it's listening and then acting in your singing. That is what's happening, right? Like you're listening from the inside, then you're taking action by using your voice.
Yes, exactly. Nailed it. Yeah. Yeah. And to like close that gap between the truth, like i.e. the thing that we hear, and the action that we take, it's all about how much silence we allow into our lives and like how comfortable we are with living inside that space. And that's what makes like a big cat, you know, out in the jungle. Like you don't see big cats going like, and like wearing their every single part on, you know, it's like, it's a beautiful kind of strength and power that comes from being so intimate with yourself that you feel strong and safe in that deep, tender place. And you're also able to open and be vulnerable and share that. It's not the same thing as like just being vulnerable and like exposing yourself without having that internal structure, like we were saying, that internal safety. And that I've learned can be developed. You know? And singing is a super powerful way of developing that ability to listen, hear your truth, and respond and like deliver that truth outwards. And yeah, thank you for bringing that through. It's so powerful. And it just goes so deep because there's so much noise in this world and there's so many voices all around us. And there's a lot of radio signals that we can choose to tune into at any given moment. And the amount of like chaos that I personally feel in my life is always directly proportionate to like how kind of open I am without being tuned into my inner sanctorum of silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a big mistake that a lot of people make when they are opening up to themselves and their own vulnerability and all of the pieces that are involved in it. And mistake meaning a lesson that you have to learn. Like it's just part of it. But, you know, we've been taught so much either to totally shut down or that, oh, let's open up to everything. And there's this beautiful place of creating safety that is really the first step, and learning what safety really is. I've had several conversations on this topic because my experience has been, I had tried to go down this like deep healing, trauma hunting path, right? Where I was like, I know the things that have to heal now. And, you know, I actually had no idea what it was like to feel safe. And I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't know that I didn't even have a reference point for safety, outside, inside, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Had lived my life
Mm-hmm.
seeking safety in every possible place because I never had a reference point for what it was.
Yeah.
And I actually don't know if I've ever really said this to you. Maybe I have, but I realized the first time I actually completely felt a total sense of safety was in ceremony with you and Brianna.
Mm.
It was
It's amazing.
the environment you all created allowed me to go to the darkest places and find safety in it within those places by myself, but also like in the arms of others. And I finally had a reference. I finally had a moment, a thing, an experience to go against and understand what it felt like to be safe inside my nervous system, to feel calm and held by my own spirit, but also by other humans, which then gives me a reference point of who to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So
I had full chills with you saying that.
well, it's so true. And it's like when we go out to try and fix all these things, if the first thing we do is not to find that and seek those who are able to hold that container for us to find that first, then we are continuously going to be on this loop of seeking and healing and whatever else that is never actually creating that like fully internal spirit-based sense of safety.
She is speaking the truth right now. It's yeah, absolutely, Jamie. It's like you're really nailing it. And when I think about the precious inner child in all of us that is to some degree crying for attention and love, and when I think about the gifts that that inner one has to share with the world and all of the expression and all of that, and I trace back the roots of all of the parts of us that aren't sharing, that are clamped down, that are dammed up, you hit home, and home is supposed to be a safe place. And a lot of us don't have that. We have fear programmed into our understanding of home. And some of us do, right? Some of us have practiced and come into that, developing that nervous system safety, but there's layers to that depth of expression and that depth of vulnerability and the capacity that we have that is like a forever process. Like safety as a baseline for getting to come back over and over again to explore deeper and deeper levels with ourselves is something that like I'm really passionate about sharing and cultivating, and have only learned how important that is through being held through some really dark, hard times by, people, individuals, I can name Brianna specifically, who has also developed that capacity through also living those experiences. And so there's like a common vibration that a lot of us are tuning into who are in this conversation around purpose and around impact and around leadership and around creativity and freedom, and call it whatever you want to call it. Anyone living a conscious life and anyone, I believe, who's just alive deserves and desires to feel that safety. And it's possible within all of us to access that and to create that for each other.
Well, and one of the things you just said, which you and I share in common, is leadership and the desire to create leaders. And to me, leadership, as I'm coming to know it and understand it and live it and be it and help to create other leaders, is so very, very different than what I ever was taught or understood what a leader should look like before. Yeah. And the core of it is, can you even truly be a leader? Can you really even truly lead others without being someone who has a deep capacity to create a container of safety? I don't think it's possible. I don't think somebody can truly stand in a leadership position and guide others into whatever it is, in business, in life, in relationship, in the way we are in the world, without having the ability to hold the container, which means the only way you can hold the container is if you have really done that work yourself. You've really found that safety within yourself, because you have to feel so whole, so connected, and knowing that we constantly are learning lessons and opening up and going through the paths and learning another layer version of it as a leader, and still being able to be whole enough to hold the container for others as they go through the process and find their own consistency.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. Yeah, I think about leadership in terms of trust. You need to be able to trust your leaders inherently. And when we have repeated experiences of placing our trust in faulty systems or individuals who have not explored the capacity that they have to hold their own full spectrum experience, we are shocked and astounded by the horrors that happen in our world. And it's just how it is. It's just how it's been. And I'm inspired by what you're saying to share that I do believe that the cultivation of deep listening is the most important quality that a leader can have. Because when you're really listening, you can hear the emergence of what wants to happen. Like, we all have access to that guidance. And so there's a sensitivity that is our superpower as human beings in leadership that more and more of us are starting to access and understand. And the reason why I feel so successful in leadership positions is because of my personal willingness to listen and to bring forward only what is most potent and true for the collective to emerge. And I'm by no means perfect in that practice. Like, I still get activated in certain situations and need to take space or seek counsel. And that's also part of leadership, is learning how to take space and seek counsel and seek good counsel. And I'm happy to have had amazing mentors in leadership across different verticals that have helped me understand where my reaction patterns are. Where do I get triggered and feisty and want to fight? Like, where do I get manic and micromanaging? And, what are the fears at the roots of that? What are the inadequacies that I'm trying to compensate for with some kind of action or some kind of projection of myself? And I'm aware of those things. Like, my practice is being aware of those things so that I can come up and be like, hello, here I am, warts and all. This is what we're dealing with. I'm hearing this in the collective. Here's what I feel would be a good way to inspire that direction. What do you think? And it's also about being able to ask the right questions to inspire and evoke that self-leadership from people. And a lot of leadership has been top-down dominance, taking the word and decreeing. And we definitely need vision. We need people to hold a certain credo of behavior, of dream, of, here is the movement, right? And at some point, like mycelium, that information needs to be able to disseminate and self-propagate within people. And that's how you can tell the integrity of an idea or the integrity of a movement or of a leader itself, is how natural that propagation feels among the collective. How much resistance is there really? Who are the people that are following or listening to this person? What are they about? You can tell, you can feel what kinds of systems are really here to help the whole, what kinds of people really have the collective good at their core intention. You can feel it. You can feel it in another person, in yourself. And that's the part of us that's incredibly strong, that has so much drive, that has so much energy to serve, to follow through. It's that inner soldier in us. It's like, I feel like getting to complete, like Brianna says, end those wars within ourselves and come into using that fight energy to help things flourish. help other people flourish, leading them to their own wisdom, their own inspiration, their own understanding of what's happening inside. It's like, ain't nobody going to tell you what's happening inside you. Like, only you know that.
Yeah.
And that's either the gift that you're sharing with us, or it's a weapon you're using to hurt us.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah.
And imagining business as a whole in the world being run that way.
Yes.
And people being able to work in environments where they can feel so bought into the vision and have their own ability to like step into their leader role within the place that they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that vision is part of why this is so important. And I love everything you just said. I mean, we haven't even touched on the fact that beyond the fact that you're a creatress and a ceremonialist, and I said multi-passionate entrepreneur, but you are like an incredible leader in business, leading teams into a totally new economy, basically. I mean, what you are doing in business is really incredible. It's going to be the kinds of things that change the way that business operates.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that to light. I'm very passionate about business and about business as a function of service for society. And like, that's the original intention. That was the original intention behind commerce, at least in its most pure form, was to serve a sector of the community with a specific thing. And like, then we created money, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, now my part of my big passion, is working with the team at Creation Space. And we're a Web3 sort of network of networks, a community empowerment platform that's going to really help companies shift into more community-centric operational models. Because, when I ask myself, what do I really want to be doing with my time? I want to be making art and impact with people that I freaking adore, who are also geniuses in their work, and we're all living heaven on earth, like being in our absolute bliss. And so that's a vision for more than just me. And so how do we, my partner Ramayan and I at Creation Space have been exploring, and our whole team has been exploring for many years, like what kind of a system, what kind of a model, what kind of tools, what kind of an app, what kind of a space, what thing will actually help people fund and run and govern their own creative communities. And now we're actually building it. Now there's an amazing development team behind that is working every day to bring it to life. We can click through it, we can see it. And beneath that is so much work in systems development and architecture. And my role has really been to provide that generative fire and that passion of creation and really standing behind the message of the platform, which is that our creation, our creativity is our life force. It's our power source. It's everything. And we have more than enough of it to really make the changes that we want to see in this world. We just need to be able to organize effectively and to be able to share in our abundance and our resources without having too many middlemen and different types of networks that siphon off of our attention and profit off of that. And don't allow us to actually communicate and connect with the people in our world in a meaningful way. Because, all business comes down to a one-to-one relationship at the end of the day. Anytime you are transacting your energy to serve another being and to receive something in exchange, like it's you and there's another. Whether that's represented by a company, it's somebody is signing the check, somebody is clicking yes, somebody is having that conversation with you. And so the most important question I think we could all be asking ourselves are, who are the kinds of people that I want to be in that one-to-one relationship with, from my team to the people I'm serving to everything. And to allow your life to show you who those people are is a really powerful act of surrender.
Yeah. Yes, totally. So. And opening up to the idea that it can look different. It can look different than it's been presented to us. And I am a very firm belief that life will look very different in the next 10 years. And we are at the precipice of a totally new way of doing this. of
Definitely.
commerce, of leadership, of all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what you guys are working on is one of is ushering that in. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so amazing to see because what you're working on in so many different places, the way that you guide people, the way that you're leading your company, all of these things are really like as a whole, holistically doing that in so many different facets. So like amazing for
Yay!
you to be one of those people that is, you know, even quietly and sometimes not quietly being a leader in all of that and creating leaders and being that person. So thank you.
Thank you for shining a light on that. I definitely feel that I have kept quiet like for a lot of my life and like career of many things that I've done. And I do feel that there's a renaissance happening within myself that I can speak to, understanding that all of my experience, all of the skills that I have, all the people I've supported have all helped me to create this person that's now ready to take a stage, is now ready to speak on behalf of the changes that are happening. I'm ready to be a voice for this evolution of consciousness and to bring that light to the world and this voice of hope that actually, yes, there are people working tirelessly to help this big ship turn around. And we are getting there, and it takes patience and it takes care of ourselves to be in the process of change. You know, our lives are a little blip in time, and we have only so many breaths that we take in each form, and we only have so many words we get to say and so many songs we get to sing. And how we choose to use that time is everything. And so I used to think when I was 18 that I was going to be married by 23 to like my perfect boyfriend, we would have a baby. And then after that definitely didn't happen. Then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go do this other thing and be this famous writer and like do this whole thing. And then boop. And then I'm like, oh no, but my deepest dream was to be like a pop star and like da 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 da. And like all of this. And then I just started to feel like I was just like late to every dream of my life. It's like every time I woke up to a new level of my dream, I was like, oh, fuck, well, I should have started that 10 years ago. Like, why didn't I commit to that then? I want to do it now. And what I'm learning is like, there is a much bigger plan for all of our lives. And we're all connected in that. And there is a beautiful, magical thing that is happening that is mysterious, that is divine, that is perfect, that is full of life and death and heaven and hell and anger and joy and the full spectrum. And then if we can get our teeth around that, and if we can get our bodies around that, and if we can get into that and like soften into that, knowing that all of this is part of something beautiful. All of this is part of something sacred. All of this is part of something magical and divine and true. Then life takes on a new color, and there starts to become more of a sense in our bones that everything is meant to be. And then the dreams just start to suddenly open like flowers that you didn't even know you were watering. And it's funny because it's like all the things you think that you needed to do to get there are not the things that are actually the most significant things in my experience. Like any skill that I've trained in or any book that I've read, it's actually been about my capacity to be with that freaking river and my capacity to navigate the waves of actual real life. That has been my savior. And that's, you know, how plant medicine and ceremony and just this deeper work of ritualizing my experience of life in a way that is different than, you know, I've ever experienced it before, really helped me as well to get clear and to relax, to relax into knowing that like my dreams are all here. They're all coming about, and my dream is part of a bigger dream, and we're all dreaming this dream together. It's great.
I love everything you just said so much. There's just so much, and you're just such an incredible embodiment of that too. I think that everyone listening can hear and see that. And there is, you know, one of the things I've really learned and come to probably again since March. I mean, my life has changed so much since the
A little
movie was
bit.
filmed in March. There's such a beautiful golden thread through all of it. I mean, I resonate so deeply with that feeling of feeling late. I was speaking at an event not that long ago, and it was in front of a group of people who have known me for about like 17, 18 years. And I remember saying, like, for those of you who know me well, I've reinvented myself about 5 times now. And it was so true. And all of those reinventions have such a golden thread through them and such a divine timing. And I think every single one until now, I felt late to. And I was never late, right? I was never late in any one of those situations.
Right.
And it's taken for me until now to really see how there was the same lessons and new layers in every single experience, and to like fully accept that, right? Like one of the things we were talking about before the show, for me right now is I am 6 weeks, actually a little less out from my due date of my second child, which came about partly because of the ceremony in March and being told by grandmother ayahuasca, myself, my inner guidance that my IUD had to come out, had to go. And
had to go.
And that leading to a series of 6 weeks where once again I was with you or 6 weeks later, when my cycle started, which led to getting pregnant. And the lessons that have come through in this pregnancy have been like the amalgamation of all of the lessons of my life almost coming together in this place and teaching me like, this won't be the last time. It's just a deeper layer. And the more that I like open up to and embrace the fact that my life dharma, my journey, my karma is all related to deepening into each of these lessons.
Yes.
Each of the things that like I will uncover this, I'll embody this layer of it, and then there's a deeper layer to go through.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right,
okay.
I'm in for a ride, you know? And, you know, my lessons in this one have been things like, I so deeply desire for things to be complete and done. Like, I'm like, okay, I want it to like be completed and done and have it be like the next thing instead of being in the journey and the process and really like loving that. And I think that's a lesson most humans have to like really experience and need to learn. And the other big one that you and I have talked a little bit about for me is allowing myself to surrender into another, for me, my husband, into allowing him to hold the containers, to be able to be a strong, powerful, amazing goddess that allows myself to be taken care of, which is really, really fucking hard as a modern woman who has been told that if we let somebody else take care of us, that somehow we're no longer powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to that, right? Like there's generations of men using that power over us. So like back to the safety thing, knowing who is safe to turn that power over to, that will allow us to actually step further into our own power, and that it has nothing to do with the social constructs that we understand, but totally in our intuition and our depth and all of that, all of the pieces that are around that. It's a different way of being. And just like ushering in a new way of leadership, ushering in a new way of business, it's ushering it in a new way of being a powerful, modern, amazing woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a fine line. It's a deep dive. It's a dance. It's a dance into being feminine surrender and to choose a life of partnership with the masculine, as an orientation. And yeah, I'm definitely going through that process on many levels. Like I've had so many different relationships that have had different polarities, and I've had different experiences of being safe in different ways, with each of these people. And now coming into my full embodiment of like my artistry and that raw energy that's just naked on stage, essentially, right? Like giving it all, giving the whole soul. I am feeling my soul being like, oh, I get to be held now at this level, but it's also new. So like, how do I take care of myself? How do I nurture myself as I move deeper into the layers of the lessons that I've called in? Because I do want that love and devotion and support. And there is a match for that I get to be resonant with. And if I'm hard on myself in that process, it spirals out. And that's the biggest lesson of feminine surrender is like, hey, you can't control actually how you feel as you go into this. You can only be honest. You can only choose to open instead of close. And I'm learning every day on those more intimate levels how to be more open and how to start to really embrace the gifts of womanhood in my own life and the gifts of bringing through this powerful feminine energy, because it is such a sacred experience to be in the presence and to be embodied as a woman who has access to that power and who is free. Like I think about what's happening with our sisters in Iran and like all of that. And I'm like, I am the freest fucking bird on the planet right now. Like I am only singing hallelujahs. Like I only have grief to share and to joy to share. And I only have capacity. Like how I must have capacity for this world because I'm so gifted with this safety and this freedom. And so that's a lot of my internal conversation and realizing that receiving more love, receiving more support, doesn't have to limit that. It can actually open the possibilities for me to share it and give more. And so, yeah, I'm dancing with a very beautiful individual in that conversation right now and feeling very excited about that. And really grateful to hear your experience as well, because it's like from following your intuition to like have your IUD taken out to, receiving the child to allowing your man to really take care of things for you as you choose where you're birthing and all of that, like, but to also just be such a boss, so focused, so inspired, so in your dharma. I'm inspired, definitely hearing you and the reality that you speak with, just being real about the process and not sugarcoating anything or being too hard on yourself. It's really great to feel.
Thank you for that. Yeah. I really do appreciate it. And it is loving yourself through it and allowing yourself to recognize the moments where we are shaming ourselves for so much that is these deeper, honestly, I think multi-generational systems within us that we have to like embrace, like, okay, that's where that's coming from. And I love you for that. And I get to do it differently. And I get to not let those fears make the decision. As I sat in ceremony this last Saturday, which in and of itself, like moving through this year of sitting with plant medicine while 8 months pregnant and listening to myself, that I felt that call and it felt really clear. And I found a place of safety to be in that. And I got the message over and over. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. And that was my journey. Just like my journey in my first pregnancy was to choose a healthy induction that I planned and on a date, and I went through the process, and that was a beautiful experience for me in its own way.
Yeah.
I have no shame over that. And now I'm going into a home birth where I have no option for medication and energy workers and medicine workers, and like it's a totally different experience, and both of those are amazing, and they're choices we get to make.
Yeah.
And we as women get to listen. Like we get to do that if we allow ourselves to do that. Not just women, everyone does. But women in particular, I think we have such a deep opportunity to listen and do it differently than we've been told by the outside world.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Oh my gosh. So powerful, so good. I know we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours and hours. So I am gonna bring it back. Thank you so much, because you are just such a powerful, incredible human. I am so blessed to have met you in my life and got to bring you into the world that I have and introduce you to the people that listen in my world.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage everyone who has been inspired by this conversation to really want to connect deeper to their voice, their purpose, their vision, to enter Raven's world. She shares a lot of incredible content, a lot of her own vulnerability, a lot of the things that matter. And she's doing some really amazing things on the Web3 front. So I encourage you to enter into her world, to just follow her on Instagram and keep up with everything she is doing, because she's going to change the world, and I'm so sure of it. So, Raven, where can people find you first? And we'll make sure that link is in the show notes for everybody.
Thank you so much for asking. I'm so excited to be a part of the community that you're building and bringing together, and I'm available. You can find me on Instagram. That's the best place right now, at raven.royce. Royce like the car, Raven like the bird, raven.royce. And thank you, Jamie, just for your spirit, your verve, your devotion, your dedication, your energy. I really bless this child in your womb and the amazing teacher that they've already been for you, and just tuning deeper into your body wisdom. I can't wait to meet them, whoever they are. And I would love to, come back to this conversation again and to share more. Just thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll make sure that is in the show notes, Instagram.com, Raven.Royce.
Raven.Royce.
Yep. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit subscribe on whatever your favorite platform is.
Do it.
Follow us on Instagram at Inspired Focus Podcast and at Jamie Ella O'Connor. And thank you for tuning in and listening. I can't wait to have you back next time.